Hello, I'm Deborah Hills from Queen Mary's School of the Arts. Welcome to Get Spotted. This podcast series is part of our QM Elevate programme, designed to help you build confidence and develop the communication skills you need to succeed at university and in your future career. In each episode, we'll talk with students, alumni and academics from different disciplines and see how engaging with assignments can be a game changer, helping you refine your communication skills and stand out in the workplace. Let's get started. This episode is Biomedical Science.
It doesn't come just down to science engagement. What I always remind myself is if I'm nervous, I care.
So this Get Spotted podcast, we're going to be talking about a module called Engaging the Public with Science. And I'm going to learn a lot from this one about communicating with impact, I'm sure. So first of all, let's meet everybody. Can you introduce yourself? Tell us a bit about you.
Hi, I'm Sia and I study Biomedical Sciences. I took this module and I'm just graduating. Wow. Yeah, so just finished.
That's lovely. Hi, everyone. My name is Laura and I graduated last year doing biology in undergrad level, and I'm currently doing masters in bioscience entrepreneurship as well as other professional avenues in science communication, which I'm sure we'll get into. So I'm more than happy to share about that a bit later on in the podcast.
And I'm Dr. Andrew Durham. I'm the module organiser. I'm a senior lecturer in biomedical science based down at the Blizzard Institute.
Excellent, thank you. So Andrew, can you tell us about this module?
I can try. So the module is, as you said, it's engaging in public science. It's run for students who are doing their degrees through the School of Biological and Behavioural Sciences. And a lot of that's also with joint programmes with the Faculty of Medicine. So, for example, Biomed, neurobiology, neuroscience, etc. They all sort of have joint programs with that. So it's available for all the students who are doing that as a final year project. It provides a alternative project module for their final year, so they can do a lab-based sort of project module when they go in the lab for a few weeks and do science skills there. There's also a dissertation module, and then there's this engaging the public science module.
Right. And how many students do this in a year, do you think?
It depends. I'd say we've had about 100 students. I think previously we've had about 70 and probably have about 78 again next year.
Okay, so huge number. So engaging the public with science. Yeah. What made you choose this? Yeah.
Well, I want to go into medicine after I finish. Well, I have just finished. So I thought this would be one of the best modules to take because we had 3. There were 2 research ones, and then this one was more on the side of engaging the public. And because, of course, medicine is a day-to-day engaging with different people all the time, so I thought this would be the best to translate into life skills. So that's why I took this one.
Excellent. You'll have to listen to our medicine podcast and we'll hear about those skills in there.
Yeah.
I also have very professional interest when I was doing this because when I was doing my degree, I realized I'm not going to be an academic. I'm not. I love science, but that's not for me. So I kind of venture out before doing this engagement module in other avenues. I was working as an explainer at the Science Museum and I loved it. And I was like an avid goer to Crick, to Science Gallery, welcome all these science events. And I thought, okay, if I can do a dissertation, a piece of work in academic setting, but still I kind of have the professional experience in engaging people. Excellent. So it was kind of because I knew that that's where I want to take my career. Why not? If my university offers me this experience, I can put on my CV. I have it on my CV that I did this and it's going to benefit me in the future. That's why I kind of did it.
Right. Yeah. Engaging the public with science. What's wrong with the public? Do they not listen to science?
I don't think there's anything wrong with the public. Let's start there. No, I think why do we need to engage the public? I think there's an important thing. It's a sort of a niche thing, I guess, with the discipline is understanding there's a difference between science communication and science engagement, and actually not just telling the public what they need to know, but actually sort of communicating, engaging them, getting them involved and getting them to understand what's going on. And most important thing with the engagement process is not just if I tell you something, are you going to listen, but actually build relationship and build trust with your audience, build trust with communities. And it's one of the things that, just to plug Queen Mary, that Queen Mary does particularly well, is it sort of, since its founding, it's been quite plugged into the local community, since doing things like the People's Palace, and it's one of the things we've hoped to build on there and flex the strategy and everything like that. And so what we want to do is hopefully build links out and also sort of help people sort of understand how to not just tell people what's going on, not just tell people about science, but actually get people sort of interested and actively involved in it and feel that they've got a voice in the science as well.
Thank you. I didn't really think of it like that. I was thinking communicate and getting your message across, but that's just so important. What you're saying is enthusing them and making them
feel part of it as well. I think that's a big thing. And sort of if they're engaged, if they feel part of it, and that's of that trust, I think that's probably the biggest issue we've got at the moment in terms of science and stuff like that. We can tell people till you blue in the face, but if people don't trust you, they're not going to listen to your message. So sort of getting them to understand and also to sort of trust what's going on and feel they've got some sort of stake and involvement and ownership to it. It's really important.
You told me, a story of even before you came here about developing trust about when it was the COVID vaccine time. Tell us about that.
Yeah, so during COVID, of course, there was a lot going on around on WhatsApp, and especially being from part of the BAME community, I heard like so many rumors being spread, and as a biomedical science, well, at that point, an A-level science student, I was like, that's not true. So
what kind of rumors?
Stuff like the vaccines actually designed to make you more sick. It's a whole scheme to get you into the hospital and stuff like that. People didn't understand how it worked. They had all these fears. So instead, one of the pastors from my mum's church had reached out to me. She was like, "See, you're a science student. Could you explain like what the vaccine is to the rest of the church so people feel more comfortable taking it?" So what I did was put a little presentation slide, because of course we were doing church online at that time. So at the end, I just did a mini presentation to explain how it worked and what the vaccine is, and basically throughout the process debunking the rumors, not directly debunking rumors, because a worry that I had is I didn't want to be confrontational and be like, no, what you're thinking is wrong. Like, no, it's more so, well, this is actually how vaccine works. It's just, it's to help you. It's not to harm you in any way. And then after it opened up into like a mini Q&A session, unintentionally. But yeah, so with some people, they were still against it, and they were like, you don't know what's being taught, blah, blah. But through conversations and relating it to stuff that I knew that they did, they were able to understand, and then people went and got vaccinated. I don't think everyone did, but at least quite a lot of people were happier hearing it from someone who, I think, something that I know coming from a BAME community, some people feel more comfortable and more confident hearing certain things from someone who looks like them. So I think they felt more comfortable after me explaining it to them, because there was that level of trust already. So yeah, that was helpful. And so yeah.
I'm just kind of curious, because I love hearing that, and like kind of piggybacking off of what Andrew said of like creating this, like, do you feel like you open a new space in your community to discuss these things? Did it end with the COVID presentation, or did it just begin with people now feeling comfortable to like ask questions and talk about this, and do like people reach out to you to ask science questions? Do you open a new thing of who you are?
I am kind of like the doctor of the family, which is quite nice, I guess. It's quite funny because I'm not qualified yet, but I will try and help you out where I can. But yeah, some people coming to me with their health problems, which was quite funny. But they felt it was nice to know that I had built that trust with them, and they were able to, like, I even was reading just medications, like I was prescribed this, what's this? And so I just thought, because I had that conversation with them, that it was nice. It felt nice to know that they trust me in that way. And I realized as well the importance of speaking up. And as someone, I feel like as someone in science, if you understand these things, it's really important to speak up, because you don't know who's willing to listen to you. Because I don't know, my family's stubborn.
So, many people are when it comes to science. It's just so cool to put like what you said theoretically, but practically you're a case study of success story of how that happens. So
but this is even before she took her degree.
Yeah. That's so awesome.
Yeah. Did you feel like you got confidence from seeing that they trusted you? Is it like a mutually beneficial?
Yeah, because at that time I knew that I wanted to go into medicine as well, so it was just, if anything, extra motivation to have, like, because the NHS should represent London, and I feel like being a Londoner I represent part of that community. So me taking that step forward is like it creates a space for other people to be more vulnerable and open, because that's what's needed in the medical field. Like, you need to be open with your doctor for them to truly help you. And I feel like the fact that my family were and other people in church were able to speak up and be honest and share their their worries with me, it just shows that if I'm now qualified, how much further that would go, you know.
Amazing. Thank you.
Yeah.
Let's get into some of the skills that you got when you were when you did the module. So one of the things that is demanded of you is that you have to write a lay summary of something. So tell us about that. So you basically got some kind of scientific concept and you've got to tell us about it.
Oh gosh. The lay summary was not my favorite piece, I won't lie. But I think that's because it was something really different, because of course it's taking a science paper and then writing it for a lay audience, someone who doesn't have as much scientific knowledge. And I felt, although I'm able to do that verbally, it was hard to do written. I don't know. I found it hard because the way I speak is in analogies, and I can't exactly write a lay summary in an analogy, I guess. I didn't think I could.
You could.
I wish I did.
It's still a good thing to do, is still think of analogies, think of good ways to explain things. There's nothing just because it's written down means you can't do it in the same way you do it verbally.
Yeah.
You had slightly different things. We gave you some papers to choose from, but you had a presentation to summarise, so it just makes life a little bit more tricky.
The presentation as well.
Think about the presentation and then had to summarise it all up.
I know. That was quite hard to do because, but I did do it in another module. A similar thing. I had to write an abstract for it. So I had already kind of known about the presentation, but so my mind was just filled with all these, like, how do I simplify this? How do I simplify that?
So how do you simplify things?
I was going to say, it can be quite challenging because I guess as scientists, we try and just think of how to summarise. Yeah. And when you're presented with, here is a scientific summary, a lot of what people try and do is just try and translate that, I guess would be the word, into non-science language. So you just sort of take, here's a science word, I will just explain that science word, or I'll just find another word that flips it. But it ends up reading very much the same, but just changing the odd words to try and make it simpler. But that's actually, because it's written for a different audience, is actually a really dull way of doing it. Yeah. So you end up just sort of copying it out and sort of all verbatim. But what you're looking for to make it engaging and interesting for a general audience. So for the lay audience view, we ask you to do it in a article, a bit like a New Scientist article. So what we want there is to think about what's the important message, and to try and convey that rather than necessarily the detail of the science, but we'll get across the general idea and what's interesting, what's exciting about it, and get that across the audience rather than just repeat it in a sort of simplified language.
Yeah. So tell us what techniques and stuff you would suggest now to help with the lay audience.
Reading examples, definitely, like, because one of the things you said is like, it should kind of sound like a New Scientist article, and just literally going out there, reading New Scientist articles, reading Guardian articles, reading BBC Science Focus, popular science books. They do help. They massively help, especially like the good ones. There are a lot of bad science communication happening out there. That is a bit of a problem. There's a lot of bad science communication happening out there, but just reading and seeing, when I'm even like being reflective when I'm reading an article of, okay, what did I read it after 5 minutes? What did I remember? What was the thing that actually stayed in my mind? The thing that I remembered, the thing I didn't. Did it make me feel stupid? You know, I feel like there's nothing worse than reading an article and not understanding it. I'm not going back to that website. I'm not doing that. So like one of the pieces is just genuinely experience and reading what is out there and what I consider as good literature when I'm like reading about science I don't nothing about.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's making me think of this, I don't know if I've got the right name, Richard Feynman method of, he talks about learning and that anyone should be in any discipline. If you can explain what you've got, your research, to a 12-year-old, then you've nailed it. You've nailed what it is and why people should care and but it's easier said than done, isn't it?
It's way easier.
You've basically really got to know your stuff. Deep
learning, as in read it and think about it.
Yeah, but I think that's that question of why should anyone care is actually, it's quite an important thing to think about. So why do I find it exciting? Why do I find it interesting? And I guess it's one of the things a lot of people doing this to science communications because we find it interesting. But why do we find it interesting? Why are we exciting? If we can get that excitement, enthusiasm across,
then
that's
people
a really
are
good
more
thing.
likely to listen.
Yeah.
I feel. You know, something that I just remembered, and I wish I did this with the lay summary, was during A levels, how I'd revise was take what I've revised and then explain it to my mum, because she is so yeah. It was helpful as well because she had questions and she just didn't get a lot of things, so I'd had to, if I was able to break it down, it means that I understood the topic. So I guess I wish I kind of did that with the lay summary now.
I guess I have another tip as well on this. What I usually do, because I'm from Latvia, so this is English is not my first language. If trying to explain science concepts that I learned in English to my parents in Latvian, definitely that's a bit of a different cognitive twister, but definitely I have to simplify when I'm explaining in Latvian because I just don't know the complicated terms in Latvian. So I just naturally have to make the concept simpler. So for someone who also speaks multiple languages, try explaining what you know in a different language because you will just naturally say it in simpler terms because you just don't know the vocabulary in the other language. Yeah. That's something when my parents, oh, what are you studying? And I'm like, give me a second. And then in Latvian, it naturally comes out different. So that's a tip, I guess.
Both brilliant tips. I think the thing about the words lay audience, you kind of imagine this audience, but actually you imagine one person reading it who is indicative, like your mum, or I think it's a great idea. So I want to move on to this other thing that you had to do in the first semester, which is you had to go to a museum, is that right? And then write a reflective piece.
Yeah.
Let's find out.
Fun, that.
We'll find out how it went, and then we'll find out the thinking behind it.
I'm really happy. I had an incredible experience. It was genuinely very, very cool. I went to the science gallery. Tell
us where the science gallery is again.
It's under King's College London. It is by the Shard, right by Shard, right there. And I went there, and I spent such a long time there because I was literally looking at every single corner being like, do I like this corner? Is it making me feel safe and lovely? I don't know, just being so judgmental, everything that was happening there. But yeah, being as an outsider, so good. Once again, giving yourself that space and time afterwards, after my visit, I kind of wrote the piece. I wrote down my thoughts, but then I wrote the piece, the thing we had to submit a bit later because I was like, what did I remember from this? What actually stuck with me? Because I think that's where science communication comes down. We can all read fun facts if you don't remember them.
Yeah.
True. What made it memorable? Really interesting.
The space. I generally am more curious not about the science they were laying, but how they were doing it in terms of what was the lighting like? Could I read things? What is accessible? Was the space intuitive? I was kind of more focusing on does the physical space actually makes me feel like I can understand what's happening there. So those were my biggest things to focus on. I really liked that assignment and actually ended up applying for a job at a science gallery and working there a bit later. So thank you, Andrew.
Tell us about yours, Sia.
Honestly, a similar thing as well in terms of what was the lighting like, what was the colours like.
Where did you go?
I went to the Science Museum, so just a basic one. Yeah, I went to the Science Museum and I went to all the different floors, and something that I realised was for the things, you can tell which sections were more for an older audience or which were for a younger audience, which I found really interesting, because when I was going through the Science Museum, I was thinking about my family members, and it's would this person enjoy it? Would my cousin, she's autistic, would she enjoy this? And it's what would she be attracted to and why is she attracted to those things? And again, it came down to the colors, the levels of the tables, the audio headphones that they had different ways to satisfy everyone's sensory, I guess, because you were visually satisfied, you were auditorily yeah, satisfied. We had everything going on. I actually really enjoyed it because it made me think, what can I do? Where I was thinking about my project, and we had the presentation as well. I was like, what can I do to make my project more engaging as well? Because of course at that point I had picked my audience.
One of the jobs I've been doing for 2 years now. So I'm an explainer at the Science Museum. It's literally what it says. A
An
t-shirt that says
explainer.
explainer, and you walk around and explain things. And yes, but I feel like it should be explainer / vibe curator or something. Because it just half of it is just explaining, and the other half is genuinely making sure that people are nice in the space, feel nice in the space. And even if I don't talk to them knowing that they have someone to approach in the space is such an important part of the journey. Have you ever been in like a museum and there's like no one there and you're like, what is that? I don't know, like it's kind of scary. So sometimes even if people don't approach me, I know that they appreciate a person being there to always like be there, and just giving a smile. And sometimes you will start a conversation with someone and you'll feel that they don't want to have a conversation. That's also fine. Some people want to enjoy the museum like completely quiet. They don't want to talk to everyone. So yes, I've been working for 2 years, very fast-paced job. It's a lot of people, but it's great. It's like knowing that people, after you had a conversation, you kind of know that they leave with a good experience is so satisfying. So good. So good. And also like a very interesting part is that a lot of people don't want to hear me talk. They want to talk. People love talking. Yeah. Like if I'll start a conversation, they'll tell me science facts. They'll be like, did you know? And I'm like, tell me more. Yeah. Like people want to share information.
Doing your job.
It's such an important part of communication, isn't it? Mm-hmm. And I love that you listen and that you're interested.
Yes, of course. And then you get like, it's all about, I don't know if we're going to get into like oral communication versus written communication. The best thing about oral communication, why I like is it's like immediate feedback. Body language, tone of voice, looking around. If they're in a group, you get so many cues to understand how to communicate with that person that second. It's sometimes hard because it's just a lot of inputs you have to read, but you get like instant feedback and you understand where to go from that. Versus if you're writing, for example, a piece like an essay for Andrew, you only get feedback 2 weeks after, and there's very little to work with. So some people prefer that written thing where you have like you just work on yourself versus like the oral communication, instant feedback, which is great. It's just a lot sometimes, but it's great.
Yeah, I think like I prefer the instant feedback, as you said, because when it comes to like speaking, it's more natural. I'm able to just, it's a two-way thing. Like I enjoy listening to you, you listen to me. We both get something out of it. As you said, like when kids ask you questions as well, you get something out of it. That's why when it came to the presentation, I enjoyed that more than what's it called? Like all the written stuff. All the written stuff. So.
Smile and people can like see how happy you are to present.
So I guess that you're self-selected in some ways when you've chosen to do engaging with the public. But I've got a question about students who want to engage with the public. They want to explain the science. They're very passionate about it, but they're anxious about it. Did you ever have any, when you went on your placement, do you ever have any nerves and have you got any thoughts?
Yeah, so it's kind of funny because I would have considered myself like I'm a natural communicator. Like I like speaking with other people. But when I actually went in for my placement, because one of the schools we went into was my old secondary school, so all the nerves just came in and I felt so small as soon as I walked into the corridors.
Fucking pushing back.
Yeah, it all came back. So the minute that I walked in, I don't know, the nerves took over again, and so I felt a bit more anxious. But then something that helped me was like, well, why am I, like asking myself, why am I here again? What's a purpose of it? And it's like to not spread and talk about what I love, but like to talk, not to sound too cringy, but I'm interested in it. And I think just focusing more on what you're talking about, it allows you, like it's a segue into just getting it started, when I focused on like, oh, I need to look good and I need to make an impression in front of other people, all these other things, these thoughts that come into mind is like, does my hair look okay? Am I standing up straight? Are they listening to me? That person just looked away. Did I say something wrong? Not paying attention to that, but instead it's like just speaking about the science of things again. I was able to get into the habit of it, and then that's when the natural communication skills just came back out again, and I felt more confident. So,
right. Yeah. And this is just to say that you were asked, the placement is that you go into a school and you teach them science.
So I think it's different for others.
It's different for everybody.
Yeah, it's different for everyone.
Placement. So so you had to go into the school.
Yeah.
You told me when we chatted before that you made a couple of jokes about the school canteen. Is that right?
Yeah. So to break the ice, because I was nervous as well. I was like, and also I could tell that you know how students are when you're 16, you don't want to be here. So I was like, oh, I was part of your house. Like, you know how we have different houses. It's like the canteen's still bad, isn't it? Like I was trying to just crack some jokes with them, and so it became more of a friendly environment as well. And I felt more at ease as well.
It's amazing, isn't it? How just
Yeah.
a couple of things like that work. Because
Yeah.
it's relatable, you're connecting, you've got something in common.
I think that's also another thing, if you struggle with communication, is to first find something that you're interested in, and the other person might be as well. The same way that you said, rather than just like, do you want to hear about clouds? It's like, I like your cloud leggings. And then you can find a way into talking about clouds, I guess. But yeah, I think finding something that you have in common is something that I realize I do a lot, actually. Or I start off with a compliment. I like your hair, like stuff like that. It's just a way to break the ice, and so it's easier, and like
it's also making the other person feel good.
Yeah.
And therefore
Want to listen to you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I feel like it doesn't come just down to science engagement. What I always remind myself is like, if I'm nervous, I care. So nervousness always, not always, but most of the time it comes from a space of careness in a good, like, because you want to do good work.
You want to make a good impression.
So it's, exactly. So remember, okay, it's for a good purpose. I'm nervous because I care. That's good. I care about this.
Yeah.
And also, like, nervousness isn't always, of course, confidence kind of is better than nervousness, but people empathize with nervous people. It's fine if I see someone being nervous when like presenting. That's all right. That's not going to take away from my experience of presentation. You're just a human. Being nervous is a human experience. It's absolutely okay. And I find the same at the Science Museum. Like, that's not about nervousness specifically, but like, if it's a Sunday and I'm tired, I will be, hey, how's your Sunday? I'm a bit tired, but how are you? You know, people are people. We are just people at the end of the day, and everyone has emotions. And stress and tiredness is okay.
Yeah, I think it's more human when you're honest as well, not trying to put up a front. I think that's something that people value like a lot. When you're just like, yeah, I am feeling tired. It's like, oh, okay. I think they would appreciate it rather than you saying like, yeah, I'm great, when you're clearly all tired, you know?
We're talking about authenticity here. People like authentic people, and they're not really a big fan of fake.
No, people can see through that
straight away.
So tell us about your very different placement.
Because my audience target I was like, my target audience were year 12, so 16, 17. And I was like, me at 16, 17, I was a very different person. So I was like, what do I do? So I spoke to my friend's younger siblings, same thing as my project partner. He asked his younger brother, and he went into sixth form. We made like tiny surveys. It was just like give like mini feedback of like, what would you want if we had an engagement project? Because when it was sixth form, we had like a variety of 16-year-olds. So in sixth form, sometimes when we had people come in, we were really, really excited. We wanted to hear like what we wanted, something new, because you have lessons every day, you have form time, but then there are some people who found it really, really boring. And so I wanted to create a project where it was a balance. So not, because you can't satisfy everybody, and I think that's something that you have to accept in life. You won't be able to satisfy everyone, but what could we do to satisfy most audiences? And I think we did quite well in doing that as well.
What did you talk about?
So my topic was on bacteria, friend or foe, but we wanted to do many things within the whole project to satisfy everyone. So something that we started off doing was, because we need to test their base and knowledge before, it's like, how can we do this in a fun way? Because they have assessments nearly every day. So we thought we wanted to use Menti instead of was it Kahoot? Yeah, we used Menti instead of Kahoot because...
So Menti being the interactive quizzes.
Yeah. And they were really excited about that because Kahoot, of course, is what you use in secondary schools quite a lot. But then when it came to uni, we used Menti, and we wanted to, listen, we respect you, you're going to uni soon, here, get a little bit of a taster. So
it's so simple. That's so
And so they were excited to use Menti as well.
That's good. So it's the important thing about your audience, your value, sort of front end evaluation, knowing your audience, finding out what they want, not just thinking, oh, I know what a 16-year-old wants, because sometimes you think, oh, I'm only 5 years apart, but you can have this huge difference, but also finding out what's available, because we've done school visits and being like, oh, we'll just do a Menti quiz or we'll do a Kahoot quiz, and they're like, no phones. You're like, okay, we can't do that. We have to come up with something completely different, right? Hands up in the air, we have to do that. So, it just depends. You have to find out all these local rules and bits and pieces, and then suddenly, these plans can suddenly get thrown out the window very quickly.
Yeah. I also did show my, plan to my friend's younger sister as well. I was like, be honest, what do you think's going to happen here? And she was like, get them to use iPads, don't use their phones, because if it's like they will 100% just check their phones for social media and whatever it is. I was like, yeah, I would do the same too.
When you came out of teaching those students, did you feel good? How did it feel?
So that's the thing, when I noticed the variety, I could tell the people who were really, really interesting. And I was really happy because there were like a good 5. It was a small class, it was like 30 people. But there were a good 5 who already had some university knowledge. And I was like, what do you mean you know what an Okazaki fragment is? I was like, okay, But I was quite happy because they were really inquisitive. They had like so many questions, and they came to my project partner and I afterwards, and they just were having conversations. So what do you do? How's this like? Da, da, da. And even though it was a smaller number than what we had wanted to, like for the people to be really, really engaged, because everyone else just went to lunch. It was those 5. I was like, I think I had an impact on them, so I'm happy about it. And I know hopefully if they're like writing their personal statements, they might throw us in there, It's like, I did this and this inspired me too. I did that.
That's such meaningful communication, isn't it?
You get something meaningful like that.
It makes you naturally, some people think communication skills are things you learn or things that you practice, and this is doing and being, isn't it?
Yeah. I think that's the only way, not the only way, but it's one of the better ways to improve your communication skills, just getting in there and getting in there and just doing it rather than overthinking it. Because when you're kind of almost thrown into the deep end and just doing these projects, you're facing fears and you realize that they're not really as big as you thought they were. And you get to see all the good out of it. As you said, like you have an impact on these people.
And it's good to try it now in the placement.
Yeah.
Because now it's
the safety.
Laura, tell us about your job now then, and anything else anything that you want to say of that you learn or developed on the module that you're doing now, or just anything about
everything. I've told Andrew thank you like a million times, because it is really, because I feel like you do 3 years of university and like you get some skills, but you don't have a lot of like tangible things, versus this gave me actually like in interviews I can be like, I did this, I gained these skills, like this has been incredible. And I was like, oh my God, the skills I've taken away, like research, in terms of research, reading papers and then like solidifying them into smaller like lay summaries and things like that. That's like such a hard thing to do. Like I've done that in so many different things, knowing your audience. And I like, now I'm rambling away, but just like the small, like how to conduct yourself in interviews, how to carry yourself, how to represent your skills, and how to talk about journeys. No one wants like, why are you applying for this job? They don't want to hear about because you're a great company. They want to hear about your journey, and like the journey you put in when you're giving a scientific story is the same journey you talk about yourself when you're in a like interview and everywhere. And no, this genuinely like also working for like having the experience of working for an organization like Kew Gardens, I learned how they like work. So I was like, oh, what kind of company do I want to work for in the future? I want them to be a charity. I want them to be a startup. I want them to be a big corporate. Like all of this experiences really help. Or probably you maybe learned how do schools work. Do you want to go into education? All these, like, definitely it was a project, but like you can take so much professional experience out of it. Do I want to be a teacher? Like literally so many skills came out of me doing that project, and so many experiences that have like really helped me be where I am at the moment.
That's amazing, isn't it?
And like definitely the skills I've taken is listening. That comes from understanding your audience, is listening to your audience and then expressing yourself properly to your audience. Like I convey myself differently to the president of the Royal Society of Biology than I do to you. So it's like definitely has come into that.
Yeah, and thinking about that sort of who exactly is my audience, because there's no general audience, there's no general public. So who specifically am I targeting?
Yeah.
And why do they want to know what can I teach them, and how can I target those specific people and things? Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Thank you all so much for this. I've learned loads. I really want to do the engaging with public speaking.
Come along, you'll be very welcome.
Thank you all very much for this. And
thank you.
You'll find all of the links discussed on the Get Spotted webpage. And if you want help in developing your communication skills, why not sign up for the Communicate with Impact Masterclass or one of our other modules, free to all QM students. Details on the QM Elevate webpage.